Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back again to the Iconic Life podcast, where we gather around the virtual table for real, soulful conversations about what it means to live a life of calling, wealth, joy, and purpose. I'm your host, Hannah Elsey. I'm the founder of Agora Wellness. I'm the creator of the Iconicity movement. I call myself a transformation midwife, an overflow activator, and a movement builder of a community of visionary women and men who are choosing to lead and live lives they are wildly in love with. Here, we don't do just surface level chatter, we go deep. We talk about truth and the kind of stories that remind us that we are limitless when we are walking in our divine purpose and identity. When I say living iconically, here's what I mean by that. It's remembering who you were created to be and choosing to live from that place fully and unapologetically. It's saying yes to your divine calling, even when it's messy, chaotic, stretchy, and building wealth, legacy, and joy from a place of overflow. It's leading movements, raising families, and co creating a life that feels like art with our Creator. Because living iconically means you aren't chasing a dream, you are the dream. And today, we're going to dive into that a little bit with my guest, AJ. Hello, welcome, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Hannah. What a
Yes,
beautiful introduction.
so glad to have you on. Yes, so AJ, like I said, I don't do very formal things here, right? So I don't have like a formal like intro that I like to give you the mic. I like to give you the stage here for a minute and let you just kind of introduce yourself to our community, who you are, what you do in the world, and just a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hannah. And I just really let settle in your introduction. And I think what really sums up who I am and what I stand for is that idea of calling. And I honestly got my divine assignment, as I like to call it, probably about 5 years ago. But over the past year, it's really been on my heart. So I spent 20 years in the wealth management industry working for major companies like JPMorgan Chase and Wells Fargo. And it was a very impressive, if you will, successful career. And what I realized early in life is that there is so much more out there than just material wealth.
Mm,
And so I would say BC before COVID, it was really starting to bubble up more and more in my life. But during COVID, when we were all, if you will, forced to slow down, I had an opportunity to really get centered with myself, get, connected to my creator and get clarity around why am I here? Like, what is my purpose?
mm,
Why am I so called to work with women who are at a crossroads in their lives? Like, it was just a natural gravitation. So, women who are going through divorce, women who have lost their partner, women who were getting burnt out from their corporate jobs but felt like they were, stuck because of the golden handcuffs. I just started having these mentees, if you will, or women who were coming to me, and I realized, right, this is what feels natural. This is what feels aligned. This is what feels like is meant to be my next step. And so this past year, I've had the honor of, working with some of the most amazing women that I've ever working and meeting, candidly, some of the most amazing women I've ever encountered who are on this iconic lifestyle, as you've mentioned, right? This idea of taking that leap when it just feels like a complete opposite direction than what you've been working towards. And I call myself a wealth mentor, right? And what I mean by that is this idea of looking at your life and saying, is there more, right? And I don't mean more in the sense of more money or more cars or more things. I mean more in a way that you can give back and be in alignment with what you are truly purposeful and led to do in this life. So it's
mm.
been an amazing adventure, and I'm sure we'll get more into that, but I'm just grateful for listening, like being able to surrender and just let God do his work because it feels like for a while I've been in resistance. So the idea of
Mm.
surrender has just really been present for me this year.
Yeah, for real. That is so beautiful. So, And I love to really like kind of dig deeper into like your origin stories, we call it, right? So it sounds like COVID was a bit of that for you. And you mentioned you were like, working in like big companies and things like that. Drop us into a moment when you realized, or I would say decided, because we always, I think we're in some similar masterminds, and I know they use this wording too, but like there is a moment in time where we make a decision, right?
Hmm.
Not just a, oh, I want to, or oh, this is a good thing, but where was the moment when you decided that you were going to step into this different realm and maybe step out of the corporate world or whatever? But like, what was kind of maybe going on in your life at that time? Or was there a line in the sand moment that you can recall where like, I'm going to choose this calling that has been placed within me? And what shifted inside you that made you say, I'm going to go all in on this path?
Yeah, it's interesting when you ask the question. I immediately went to a time in my 20s, but really, I think I've been like, God's been knocking on my door for decades, and I just have been, peeking out the window and kind of
Yeah.
opening the door, but just,
Looking through the peephole.
yeah, I'm like, no, come back, right? I'm not ready. I'm
Right.
not ready. But I really think that now that I'm really thinking about it, it happened about 3 or 4 years ago. I was an executive at a major wealth management company, traveling nonstop, right, on a plane 3 weeks of the month. I'm
Oof, yeah.
married. I have three bonus boys, as I like to call it. And I just remember being like, I'd get home from these trips. I'd always leave on a Monday and then I'd get home late Thursday night. So I'd wake up Friday, I'd be exhausted from traveling. I would, be on calls all day, playing catch up from being on the road all week. And then so by
Mhm.
the time Saturday hit, I was just a zombie. I was a
Yeah.
zombie in my own life in multiple ways. I wasn't present for my husband. I wasn't present for my bonus boys.
Hmm.
And what happened one trip was I remember waking up the next morning and I just had like the worst pain in my stomach. And I'm like, oh my goodness, my appendix is ruptured.
Mm.
So my husband took me to the ER and they're like, no, it's not your appendix. They took all of these, right, x-rays and MRIs, and they're like, this is like chronic stress and it's impacting your reproductive system. So for example,
Wow.
like they're just like, you're on the path of basically developing an autoimmune disease if you continue at this pace.
Wow.
And so like in a weird way, I guess he came knocking and then he came crashing through the door because I just realized I'm like, there's nothing more important than our health. Like, I've always been a very active person. I danced all of my, most of my career. I was a cheerleader. I've done yoga. I love to be active,
Hmm.
but being on a plane 3 weeks of the month, there's just no space for that. And that's when
Yeah.
I just really got connected to our health is wealth, right? Like that is, there's something inside of us that needs to be cultivated and it needs to be nurtured. And I wasn't doing that. So that was probably the moment when it really all, in a weird way, came crashing down, right? In a health from a health scare, candidly, is what caused my moment, if you will.
Yeah. Sometimes that's how the voice gets really loud. Like you said, he was knocking. He said, okay,
Yeah.
let's just remove that.
Yep. Yep. I'm coming
Knock you
in.
out of autopilot. That's right.
I'm coming in.
I love it. All right. So we know the road to, we can make it that decision. We have that line in the sand moment. We make the choice. And then we start to create and on this new journey, this new path, creating that iconic life that I talk about, right? Um, but it's not always smooth, is it?
Mm-mm.
So talk to us a little bit about maybe what are some obstacles that you have faced or that have tested you the most as you stepped into this new role, and how did you decide to move through them instead of letting them maybe define you,
Mhm.
or keep you back? And then also kind of looking back at some of those moments, what strengths or lessons were born
Mm.
from those moments, those challenges?
Wow, that's a juicy question. And I'm going to do my best to get all of them. I would say that it's been a rough road, right? And I always say I'm a confident woman, but I'm also extremely humble. And one of the things I would say though that surprised me in this iconic life or this new path was all of the obstacles I ran into in terms of my own ego getting in the way. So after, right, being in the wealth management industry for almost 2 decades, I had built an identity, right? I was an executive. I was a successful businesswoman. I was a person who worked with very wealthy people from celebrities to billionaires. And there was a lot of my worth and identity tied up in that. And so when
Mm,
I decided to take this new path, it was like starting from the beginning, right? Because
right.
yes, I have the expertise and experience, but no one cares until they know how much you care. And I really feel like that's been the newest journey for me is it's not about what I know anymore. It's about how I show up for others and how I show up for myself. And so I would
Mm.
say that a lot of the path has been those moments of like, candidly, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why did I choose this not conventional path? Because I had success, if you will, on
Mm.
all of the external metrics. And people were kind of looking at me like, you're crazy. Why are you walking away from such an amazing life? And I remember thinking like, I'm just not fulfilled though. I'm not content. There's more I can be giving to the world than just dollar signs and zeros behind people's accounts.
I loved how
And
you
so,
mentioned that earlier too. You said like it's not wealth is not just about money. I think it's you said that, right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. Sorry, I kind of
Well,
cut you
no,
off from
and
there.
no, and that's just it. It's a perfect point because through like this process of really figuring out like what is it that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a nerd at heart, right? I was a biology major in college and I ended up switching to business. I wanted to be a vet. But back
Okay.
then, vets were not, they didn't make money, let's be honest. And it was
Mm-hmm.
competitive to get in, and I paid for college. I worked full time and went to school full time. I'm a first generation college graduate in my family, and I didn't want to leave with a lot of debt.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to shift to business. But I say all of that because I'm a student at heart. I love to learn. And so when I started going down this journey of feeling like, well, I have all of the financial success, but why don't I feel wealthy?
Mm.
And through my research, I found the word wealth, actually, the old archaic meaning of it is well-being, right? Wealth
Mm.
was never meant to be about money.
Yeah.
Like when you look backwards, wealth is well-being. And I remember
Mm.
along this process, kind of going back to the original question, it was like, I had to come up against that, right? It's like I knew I wanted to help women redefine success and reclaim and navigate wealth from within, but I had to go through that process, right? They always say
Mm.
your message is in your mess. And I feel like I'm just constantly, almost sometimes on a daily basis, like checking in with myself and saying, am I in alignment with am I modeling, right? Am I modeling what I truly say I want to have and what I'm trying to help guide other women through in this iconic life of living more purposefully, right?
Mm.
With the money, finances, and wealth that they have already.
Wow. Yeah. I love your message is in your mess.
Yeah.
I say it like the medicine you give is the medicine you need, right?
Yeah, for
Similar,
sure.
but that's it, right? Like, and that's, I was just having this conversation with a friend about this as well. Like the things I create, even in like the containers I make and the work that I do, it's so much around what I need, right? And what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing on a constant basis, and I realize it. It's like a mirror to yourself in a bit.
For
So
sure. Well,
that's
and that's so
beautiful.
beautifully put because as I mentioned earlier, the women who are naturally coming to me are women that I've either been or women that I have loved. So
Yes, yes.
I'm the only woman. I come from a family of strong women, all ladies, and now I live with all men. But I'm the only woman in my family, like me and my sisters and my mom. I'm the only woman who's hasn't been a widow. So my mom and my sister have both been widows twice. So
Mm,
that was divine intervention, right? That was God speaking, saying, there's something here for you in your experience of navigating, right, a death of a loved one. My
yeah.
brother-in-law passed away during COVID, not due to COVID, but during COVID, and navigating that with my sister just really, right, was part of my path.
Yeah.
I personally have been divorced, right? So I know exactly what that experience is like. And then I've been the woman who has been in corporate America and feels like you're trapped because you're the primary breadwinner or because people depend on you. And so it's the
The golden
medicine I
handcuffs.
needed didn't exist, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to open up my own pharmacy, right? I need to open up my
Love
own
it.
lab and I need
Yes.
to start, right, making some new elixirs that
Yeah.
truly like are home remedies versus the typical way that we've been learning about finances, money, and wealth, right? And that's where I
Mm.
really started to see like we are doing it all wrong when it comes to women and wealth. And the reality is in 5 to 10 years, women will be the majority wealth holders in the United States and candidly globally.
Hmm.
So, but the research shows that women aren't confident in making financial decisions. So, you pointed this out of the decision. That's ultimately what I always say is our ability to make powerful decisions is directly connected to our ability to live an iconic life.
Mm. True. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because
And they're not always easy decisions, right?
no, they're not, right? But anything of significant, like if it matters, sometimes it's not easy, right? I
Yeah,
say do the hard, because the alternative is what?
to stay stuck.
Right, exactly. And that is hard. So choose your hard. But if the one hard's going to get you where you are desiring to go and what you've been created to do, then I'm going to choose that all day long. So
Hmm.
yeah, I love that. Um, yeah, what you're talking about is getting me all lit up. 'Cause I'm like, oh yes, because I've seen the data, I've heard like about like the wealth shift that is happening, and you're right. I do see a lack of some confidence, even some knowledge right now, and I feel like we're on this surge, this swing of doing switching or as it's shifting, right? But it's something that we all need to take personal responsibility for and make a decision on, learning how to be confident and powerful in that as well.
Hmm. And it's a process, kind of like what we've been talking about. Like you can't just decide and then it's forever you're confident, right?
Hmm.
It's having the tools, it's having the internal navigation system. And that's what I always tell the women I work with. I'm like, look, this has nothing to do with me, right? Like, this is a process for you to uncover what
Hmm.
your personal North Star is. What are your
Hmm.
values?
I love
How
that.
do you naturally make decisions? And let's build a framework, let's build a system that actually aligns for you so that it's very clear when you need to say yes or you need to say no. Because I think that's where the leaks come in, as I like to call them, right? Our time leaks, our treasure leaks, our talent
Mm.
leaks. I always also talk about wealth as being three T's, right? A lot of people say, well, wealth is just money. Well, it's your time too. It's your skills and your abilities, and it's money and finances, right? Wealth is all of those things. And what I find is, and I know in my own personal experience, is it's easy to have like to not be aware of where you're leaking those different T's in your life.
Mm.
And that's where we feel depleted. That's where we feel exhausted because we're not intentionally aligned with the divine or creator or whomever, right? That you are here to serve in some ways, right? The community, your family. And
Yeah.
so it's a matter of looking at it as a perspective and saying, okay, well, what season am I in, right? Like what do I need to put my attention on? What do I need to be most focused on? And as always, life comes tumbling in, right? Like you decide on something, you have the North Star, you go, and then it's always, right, there's always a reason or something that comes up that it's like, okay, like
Did
maybe
you really mean
tomorrow,
that? Yeah,
maybe tomorrow,
exactly.
or okay, maybe next week.
Yeah.
And what I'm really discovering is it literally is just those small intentional acts. Like those are the bravest, right? It's not these big leaps that we've all been taught to think that, whoa, overnight success. It's like, no, no, that person was taking the little baby steps every single
Yes.
day,
The
making the
things that we
micro
didn't see.
decisions along
Ex
the way.
exactly. The small steps. Which actually is going to kind of segue into my next question for you. I love this actually. You set that up perfectly. So what does living, creating your iconic life look like for you on a day-to-day basis? Like
Mm.
not just those big highlight reels, right? But like what are the choices, the values that you keep anchored in the everyday, the rituals or practices that you do on a daily basis that keep you anchored as you are creating your iconic life?
Yeah, kind of going back to being programmed, as I like to call it. I was programmed to be a corporate executive, right? I've always been high achieving. I was a cheerleader, the senior class president. I was in the choir. Like I've always been that person that thrives on being busy.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I just woke up and I'm like, I'm exhausted, right? Like I have a lot of capacity, but I'm also not spending my time doing things that are meaningful. So I was addicted to the busyness, as I like to call it.
Mm.
So this new chapter for me has really been about slowing down, which is really hard. Like it's probably a daily, like it's a moment to moment practice for me to just be so present. Like right now in this conversation, I'm not thinking about anything else, right? I'm not worried about where I need to be next. I'm not planning what I need to do for the next, like I'm not even thinking about what the next question might be, right? I'm
Yeah.
just really here with you. And that's been a process of getting there. When you're successful in the corporate world or in the ways that they say we're supposed to, it's one of the traits they want you to have is to think ahead, is to
Yeah.
plan ahead.
Right.
Yet
The what ifs, all the
that's
things. Yeah.
yes, yet but that's always what keeps us in this constant anxiety and overachieving and hustle. And so I'm just like, okay, so if every day I can have a genuine connection with someone, and if every day I can move my body and I can, get outside. I live in a beautiful place. I live up in Washington State, just outside
Oh
of
my God.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Utah, and I didn't realize like I love nature. I forgot
Mm.
about that because I was too busy being on planes and in cities, and I love
Right.
that life too. But it's just the moments of how do I spend more of my days doing the things that fill me back up? They recharge me versus drain me. So I'm really loving being creative, right? Writing my book. I haven't used my creative brain in a long time. And at first it was really challenging because I had to remember how to turn it on.
Right.
Because you get so buttoned up when you're in the professional world. But I just look for opportunities every single day to be present as I can, because I'm just so clear on how limited our time is here. And I want to be really intentional in this next chapter in how I'm spending my time.
I love that. So yeah, being present is the gift you give to yourself, I think, because um, like you mentioned, we get so future focused, which is not even here yet, right?
Correct.
We create it from the present moment. This is the moment that we have.
Yes.
Yeah. So powerful when you actually like settle into that and you're like, oh, okay. And we learn how to be grateful and to like celebrate the gains we've had instead of always like, but I need to get to, right? I think that's where you start to build that real wealthy feeling too, because get to like nurture that whole
Mhm.
well-being and all that comes up with it.
Well, in the beginning, it was kind of an unnatural like sensation to be in the moment,
Mm,
right? It was like, am I tired? Am
mm.
I distracted? Like all of the words that made it feel like my mind wanted to put more chatter in it, as I like to call it, the monkey brain, right? I sat there and I realized, when you're so present, there's like a body sensation always attached to it, right?
Mm,
That for me has been the reality of when I know that I am being present in the moment, like I can feel the temperature around me. I can hear my belly growling, right? I can feel my hair on my shoulders when I realized
mm,
when I was so busy and caught up in thoughts and what I was going to do next. It's just like you're just not present. And to your point, like if you're not here, you're nowhere, right? You're nowhere. You're not here, you're not there. And living a life disconnected and caught up in the thoughts, you have these moments where you're like, oh, like this is the simplicity of being able to notice the different changes in the seasons or to notice new smells in your home. Like it's so minorly detailed that it feels trivial, but it really is such an amazing experience to know that you were present right here and now.
yeah, it's so powerful. Yeah. I resonate with that because I went through many years of disconnecting because I'm functioning. I'm, type A efficient, all the things, right? And like all the
Hmm.
things. And then I realized, what am I doing? And I think s- that's something like you'll hear people say, like, oh, I woke up and my kids were grown, right? Or, like all these things where you start to like
Yes.
realize, what was I doing? What was the
Yes.
point of all of that rushing?
Yes.
And I'm so disconnected, right? And you miss these beautiful moments, right? Oof. Yeah.
And then the output of that is like bitterness, resentment, anger,
Hmm.
frustration, right? It's all these byproducts that I feel like our world is plagued in right now, right?
Hmm.
I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful for our ability to have instant gratification and access to anything and everything, but I also feel like it's perpetuating this cycle of not enoughness,
Yeah, it
right? Like
can.
I got to have more time, I got to have more things, I got to have more. And it's to your point, you just miss out on those small moments that literally just pass you by so quickly. So, I think a part of it's getting into my middle age, right? I'm going to be 45 in January and I don't feel 45, but thinking about
Right.
the number, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm almost a half a century old.
Yeah.
And also being so clear that there were just years where I was just so going through the motions and doing what I thought I was supposed to doing. And I don't look back and have regrets. I'm not a regret person. I'm the kind of person that having that awareness and lesson, right? You asked the question earlier about the lessons, having the lessons to look back on and being really clear, I don't want to repeat them is my
Yeah.
motivation, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
having that insight, having that hindsight is what I would say is something that I continue to want to be really mindful of because this is it right for now,
Yeah.
like right here in this conversation. And I don't want to
Mhm.
miss it, right? I don't want to miss this moment by thinking about
Exactly.
something else.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not about like, oh, the guilt of or the regret of like that's such a I'm the same way. I'm like, why? And I get to create my past by my perspective of it. So I get to go back and like,
Hmm.
what can I learn from here? What can I glean from there? That is also the power of being in the present, right? Because you don't have to live in the past where the what ifs, should haves, could have
Yeah.
beens, right? It's like, no, I get what can I glean from that and learn and bring into this present so then I can create that future thing from this moment in a better way. Like, yeah,
Well,
it's so beautiful.
well, and Hannah, what you're saying is so clear. I just really got clarity that like you have to go through really challenging times to be able to I used to think like life was about avoiding challenging times or
Mm,
avoiding
mm,
being fearful of things or avoiding
yes.
the big emotions, as I like to call
Yeah.
them. Like I used to think that it meant something was wrong if that was happening, right?
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
when you get really clear that we're not in control of any of it, right? He's in control of all of it. It's very freeing, but it's also a little terrifying, right? It's a little terrifying knowing that we have no control over things.
True story.
But that realization and going through like the big moments of the big emotions, right? Because of a death or because of a divorce or because of a life circumstance, health situation, relationship, when you go through those experiences, it at your core changes who you are.
Hmm.
And I I would love to see a human experience where none of us have to go through painful moments. I would love to say that life isn't full of those moments, but I actually have really gotten clear that that's actually when you get to this point where you're really at your rawest and that is what shows you who you are, right? Like
Yes.
those moments are what really show you who you are. And after you've been through an experience that's life-changing, it's kind of hard not to want to move forward with an iconic life, as you call it, right? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
you just get so clear on, wow, like I gotta get busy doing the good work.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah, I used to pray that nothing bad would ever happen, right? I mean,
Hmm.
again, I kind of exactly what you just said, right? Because you don't want anything bad. And then of course, I went through some very challenging times. Number one
Hmm.
being like losing my husband. Um, and don't know like would I have chosen to that path? I don't know that I would ever say, yes, I'm going to choose. losing my husband in a tragic way and leaving me with five kids who don't have their father for the rest of their life. No, that's a hard one, right?
Yeah.
However, it was also the time where I had the most special, precious time with God, knowing Him deeper at a way
Mm-hmm.
that I could not have ever experienced Him before that because I just didn't understand, I had no understanding of it, right?
Yeah.
And like, there's been so many beautiful, rich things that have come out of our journey of grief and challenge that has because we've allowed it to create something beautiful because there's you don't have to you can also not
Correct.
let it be used for that but we've been intentional to do that and there's such beauty that has been created out of it, right? And I'm so grateful for that. And I don't know why, but it is these things happen in the struggle, in the pain. Why is it that we can't grow when we're just like happy and everything? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an answer for that, right? But I do know that the growth, the contact, the connection with God is so much, I want to like louder. I don't know. There's just something very special there, and I would not
Yeah.
trade that. I would not trade that. Um, and it's hard because you can see I'm even like kind of tripping up over it because again, I would not say that I would choose to become a widow and have to raise my five beautiful children without their dad. That's a hard thing that we still walk through every day because they still don't
Yes.
have their dad, right?
Yes.
And
And
every
being,
milestone, oh, okay.
no, go, keep going.
I'm just like every milestone we hit, it's always that he is not there. Like I can't ever fix that, right? And that's a
Yeah.
hard one as a mom to hold. Um, and yet we walk it. We walk it intentionally and authentically. We don't shy away from the feelings like, like
Yeah.
it is life and we allow it to like, oh, you feel it, you experience it, and you move it through and let it continue to like create beautiful depth of character in my children. Like it's just, there's beauty there as well, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What you
yeah.
were saying that really just hit my heart is this idea of power, right? Like I'm a daughter of a widow, right? My father passed away when I was 1.5, and my mom raised me and my me and my two sisters alone. And she's from
Mm,
Brazil. English
mm,
is her second language. She has a second, third grade education. So in no reality should my life look the way it does. Like
yeah.
all odds were stacked against me in
Hmm.
the sense of who I could have become. But through my mother's strength and power of knowing that there was a whole other side of possibility and love and connection to us, like I am who I am because of that experience. And to your point, I would have never, ever, ever wish for anyone to lose a loved one. And I guess what I'm saying is your children are going to be like amazing human beings because of the strength that you've brought forward for them, right? The model that you've set for them
Yeah.
versus having gone through an experience that changes your life and like you said going another route. And so like in those moments like and I'm loving this conversation because I love the depths of life, right? It's not
Yes.
comfortable to talk about death. It's not comfortable to talk about addiction. It's not comfortable to talk
Mm,
about abuse, right? Like none of these things
mhm.
are you think like if there's a God, like why do these things exist and why would anyone have to go like why do we have poverty? Why do we have homelessness? And yet I just continue to be so clear that it's just we're all having a human experience and
Mhm.
God never gives us more than we can't handle, right? And so that iconic life is possible and it's even supercharged, right? You have to I think of it like if you're living your life in this small box of emotions and experience versus if you're in this wider capacity, right? I think of a breathing, I wish I had a visual for it, but that ability to expand from
Mm.
having come in and being so contracted through an experience that feels literally life shattering. Like
Yeah,
I
literally.
know that the impact that you and your children are going to have in this world, it gets me like candidly, like emotional thinking about it because you can create amazing. you can create amazing possibilities after you've gone through some of the darkest times. And I don't want to say it's a choice because that I don't want to minimize it, and I don't but it is. It's again, it goes
Yeah.
back to those micro choices and those micro decisions
Yeah.
to keep going, right? Like there's something literally about the idea of just one step in front of the other.
I agree. And I think there's actually something really powerful about that understanding that we have a choice. Because
Mm,
I didn't have a choice when I, lost my husband on family vacation. That was a horrible, but I had a choice and that gave me something, right? Because like I had a choice to take a step forward, take that next step or not. And
mm,
that power, the ability to know like that I could choose to do this intentionally. I could choose to do this like, I was given the option of like, oh, let me give you this is just, like let me give you some um medications to help numb the pain or help you sleep or whatever.
yes.
And I made a choice to not do that. And again, it was not, I'm not saying bad things about medicine, but it was like,
Yes.
I need to experience this. I
Mm,
can't numb it because it's really happening.
yes.
I need to process it. I need to be able to process it. Like this mattered that much. I lost my other half, right? Like I need to be able to not numb that. I need to be able to process it and not let it get stuck, right?
Yes.
And be able to like move through that thing. And so having the choice to make it mean something, to make it, to allow it to be, co-create with God, to make a beautiful masterpiece out
Yeah.
of what felt was devastation, life shattering, like you said, that was a really powerful thing. And that is the power that we are given at any given moment in our life. We get to choose, right?
Yes.
The whole free will, we get to choose. And I think that is so, I mean, it's a gift from God. It's a gift from a gracious God that we get that choice. We're not just stuck into this thing and therefore you're just stuck in that ring. We actually get a choice. And that is a
Yeah.
beautiful, powerful thing to know.
And I've seen the impact of those that don't choose, right? And I
Huh?
think that's my like that's where my heart gets broken, right? Of
Yes.
course, my heart breaks for anyone who's lost loved ones, whether that's through death or divorce
Hmm.
or all of the other right impossible ways, like
Yeah.
you know,
Addiction, all the things. Like there's so many.
yes, it's like we
Yeah.
live in a time where, to your point, it's just easier to numb.
Hmm.
And that's the choice that I see so many people having, and I don't judge. I understand, right? Like I understand it's easier to not feel the big motions. It's not easy to process the
No.
pain and the hurt.
Yeah. It's
And
hard as
I
well.
have also been just so clear that it's just a necessary part of being a human being. And
Yeah.
when you've been through those depths and you've had that experience of coming out on the other side, and I feel like this is where my calling just got really clear is it's like, okay, now I'm called to serve others who've been through that experience.
Yes.
And how do I be, a beacon, a lighthouse for others who will go through this, not the exact same experience, but similar emotions and similar
Exactly.
feelings of loss of hope and you know so it's life is messy, right? It's so messy and it's so beautiful at the same time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I continue to be grateful for the day, like every single day that I get to experience the holistic of it, right? Like the whole spectrum, because I think for a long time I just only wanted the good, I only
Yeah.
wanted the happy, I only wanted the positive, but now I'm just so clear that you have to have the bitter to have the sweet too.
The sweet. Yeah. To know the difference, to see it, to have it exemplified. Like, right. Because we know the depth of the darkness, the brightness and the beauty is so
Oh,
much brighter and so much
yes.
like you see it in such detail that you never saw before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this could be like in so many other ways, right? We're talking about really big life changes, but right, the decision to leave a marriage that might be abusive, the decision to leave a job that's abusive, right? These are all different examples of,
Mhm.
right, these moments of decisions that change the trajectory of our, right, our life
Our
in the
life. Yeah.
physical form, right? but I think they're
Mm-hmm.
all spiritual awakenings, right? Like I'm really clear on that, that they're all spiritual awakenings meant to be opportunities to turn and right reconnect to what maybe you may have lost along the way. And I just, I grew up Catholic and my mom worked all the time, so we didn't go to church a lot, but I've just found that when I get in these moments where I am just questioning all the things, right? And the whys, if I turn to God, if I turn to source, to creator, there's just, it doesn't mean that the emotions don't go away. It doesn't mean that things get fixed. It's just easier to see and comprehend the why. And it truly is, I'm personally clear for me, it's to serve others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's
Mm,
like if I was given this story, please let it be used for good, for glory,
yes,
right? To like you
yes.
said, be a beacon, be a light, to show others there is a way through. After being widowed, I met a lot of widowers, whatever. Um, and I'm gonna say young widows and widowers because I
Yeah.
was 32 when that happened for me, right? And I couldn't find anybody who my age at all, right? And so I started getting connected with people. And there was so much light that was needed that was not there, right? And I just like, like how, and it's not, and this is not the only instance. There's so many other things, but that was a big one, right? And it's like there is a way through this. You do not have to just, your life is not over because you lost your spouse, right?
Mm,
And there was so much of this like tragedy and death. Like, can we just shine a little bit of light? Because I'm walking it, so I can say that yes, I understand, right? And
yeah.
there is a path through, and that. So anyway, that's always been my prayer. Is like, God, can you please use this story for your glory to bring others hope, light, healing, all the things. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that is one of the beautiful things that has come out of it, right? The ability to be able to hear people and their stories and, people share with you and they see that you've
Yeah.
gone through something, right? And they're like, oh, they feel
And
like they
that,
can drop that, like that mask that we
yes.
hold up. And they like, oh, I'm struggling with this. It's not the same thing, but it's still like the pain that they see, like, oh, you understand what it's like to have your life fall apart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some beauty there that's been from using that. But
Mm,
okay, so this has been a great conversation.
I know.
I'm like we could just go on and on.
I know forever and ever and on, right? We're just scratching the surface,
We
but
are, we
but
are.
these are the conversations I live life for, right? Of
Oh
course I
my
want to
gosh,
know
yes.
about where people are from and what they do, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I've always been someone who I'm like, let me see your soul. Like, let me see
Yes.
who
Let's
you
go
are
deep.
underneath all
The
of it.
realness.
Let's be
Yes.
real. Let's be like,
Authentic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm like, let's do the real thing. Life is messy, it's chaotic, it's not perfect, and I'm here for it, for all of it. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so let's see. I did want to ask you about because I know like I saw that you have a book out or coming out almost. I'm not
Coming
sure.
out,
Okay,
yeah.
coming out. All right. But like also like what other tell us about some ripples that you're creating or projects that you're working on that you're excited about going on now. Like yeah, tell us a little bit about that and also maybe what's coming up for you? What's your next evolution as you're stepping into this new season?
So my book is honestly an example of turning a situation that literally could have pulled me apart and just directing all of the emotions and the like just all of it into my book. So it's been on my heart for a long time. I used to love to write when I was younger, and I've always had a creative brain, but time, right? I didn't have time
Mm.
and energy. And so earlier this year, technically last year, we started noticing some behavior changes in my mom. She's now 81, so she was 80 at the time. And we're like, mom's just getting older. Um, but she drove she lives in Utah and she drove to Idaho twice. And that gave me pause, right? Because she was just trying to go visit my niece that lives 10 minutes away and she
Wow.
drove for 8 hours to a different state.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I just started, being real about where this might be heading. And at the same time, my oldest sister, who is a diabetic, lost her other leg. So now she's a double
Mm.
amputee. So this year has really been filled with moments of why us or why now or what did we do or what could we have done differently? And instead of like sitting in those questions that candidly will never be answered, I used that fire, right? Because all of that, all emotion is just energy, right? And I just
Yeah.
channeled that into this book that I wrote. It's called Rich Like Her. And I decided to do a fiction. And people are always like, "Well, that's an interesting choice." And I said, because we live on stories, right? We're talking about our
Yes.
stories right now. And
Yes.
if I'm being real, like the numbers aren't changing in terms of us learning and being more financially literate. Like people are not becoming more confident because they have more information. Like there's still a disconnect there. And so I really wanted to write a book about trusting yourself and taking these pauses and these moments that feel like big moments in your life or crossroads and showing different ways that women specifically process through them. And what came through that is like wealth is very emotional, right? Like
Mm,
there's this whole side of money and our relationship to money that people don't talk about, right? It can be very traumatic. It can be very ingrained in who we are. It could be living in our bloodstream, as I call it, right? If you grew up
mm.
in a family that never had money, no matter how much money you have as an adult, you probably are still
I feel
holding on
that.
to those memories.
Yeah.
And so that's really what the book is about is this idea of these inherited patterns and I call them wealth scripts that
Mm,
we are continuing to live into as adults and how do we start to dismantle them and start thinking about like how do I want my legacy to look? What how do I want to rewrite my future and my now, right? Both. And that's what I got real clear on is this next chapter for me is honestly for my mom. And I say that because sorry,
it's all right.
I just, I want her to see like what an amazing example she was for me. And I know the time's limited
Hmm, hmm.
because for anyone who's has a loved one with dementia or Alzheimer's, it's hard to see that person slowly become someone else.
Yes.
And I have to trust that I'm completely out of control of it and it's in God's hands. But while the things I can control is being in alignment with why I'm here and helping others continue to find themselves in their darkest moments.
Mm.
And specifically, like my expertise is wealth, right? We haven't talked about money at all here. But I'm so clear that without the foundation, right, without the financial security and certainty, specifically for women, it's one of our number one needs is security and certainty. Without
Hmm.
that, the likelihood of a possible future is very low. And so this next chapter for me is still gaining clarity about like who I want to be in this new era of what I call women in wealth, right? Looking at is my zone of genius, is my God-given talents and gifts helping women make powerful and confident decisions? Is it me having vulnerable conversations like this about how to, right, pick up after the pieces of what life has given you and moving forward? Is it I have a heart for the vulnerable, whether that's elderly or children or homeless. Like this is such a beautiful time in my life where I feel like the opportunities are endless. And that
Mm.
is also a little overwhelming in some ways.
Yes, exactly.
But I just have learned through my daily practice of meditation and prayer and contemplation of I don't need to know anymore. Like I was so obsessed with needing to know all the answers so that I could plan the future, I could plan this. Now I'm perfectly okay with just saying, you know what? God will find the way, he'll direct me. I will know what's next and I will be a right. I have my own internal framework. I know what my North Star is, and I'm just continuing to be in the flow of life.
Mm,
And so I think the next chapter is me continuing to have conversations like this, which I love. I love to teach. That's the other thing I'm really clear is a second chapter for me. And I love being with people in person, right? Because there's something so magical about connecting, especially with women.
Yeah,
So I believe live events will be a part of the future for me too. And
I
going
love it.
really deep in conversations like this and connecting and sharing in humanity. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be all about exploration. I turned 45 and the book drops on January 6, 26. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. And then my
Okay.
birthday
Cool.
is later in the month. So
It's a
I'm
great
just,
month.
I know, I'm grateful that it's my time, right? Like I'm grateful that I've chosen to be courageous
Mm,
and continue to move forward despite the fact that I don't know exactly what it looks like next.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, taking one step at a time and just waiting for the right next step to appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. All right. So as we're kind of starting to wrap up here, I wonder if there is, for someone who's listening today and who is maybe feeling that tug, hearing that knock at the door for their iconic life, whatever that is for them, right? But they haven't yet stepped into it or they haven't opened that door.
Hmm.
What is one truth that you would want to share with them? Or maybe a small brave step that you would challenge them to take today?
Yeah, I think the challenge is to get still,
Hmm.
right? To pause, to reflect. I use the word reset a lot, and reset looks like just taking the moment to look at all of the gifts and the glory that's been given to you and have a moment to just be grateful for that, right? There's sometimes days where I'm like, okay, I didn't make any forward progress in, modern terms, but there's a lot of things I can be grateful for, right? There's a lot of things I can really sit and choose to be present to. And so I think, right, in that stillness is where spirit and God speaks to us, and having that moment to pause and just really get aligned in your body and in your thoughts and in your mind and your spirit and allowing for that small next step, right? It's never big steps. I feel like that are the turning point, right? They feel
Yeah.
like it, but there's just that moment that feels like, okay, this is it. So that's what I would encourage is just really get comfortable in the pauses and use
Hmm.
even these next couple of months. We're going into the new year to really be intentional and allowing yourself to hear what you need to hear.
Yeah. Mm. That's great. I love that. This has been such a beautiful
I
conversation,
know.
AJ. We will need to continue these things on. Um, but as we're wrapping up, where can people find you online? Where do
So,
you hang
best
out?
place to connect with me. I've got a website that's being stood up. I'm going to put a bunch of resources attached to the book.
Okay.
As I mentioned, January 6th, the book launches. I'm really excited
Um,
about that. I feel like it's a perfect entry point into the conversations we've been having. I'm
Beautiful.
also on, all the social media channels is AJ Bishop Andrews.
Okay.
Yeah, please reach out. And I love people and I love to connect like this.
I love it. And we'll be sure to include these in the show notes and everything too, so people can find you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And I'm gonna put that January 6th on my calendar so I can get your book because I'm gonna be one of the first ones.
Oh, I
All
love it.
right.
I appreciate the support.
Oh, of course. All right. So as we are closing out, I've got just a few fun questions I like to ask all of my guests.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what is a favorite drink and food that you enjoy?
Whew. Oh, my favorite drink is probably kombucha.
Mm,
I'm a kombucha girl. I love to drink me some kombucha.
hmm.
And I'm sorry, you said favorite food?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh gosh, that's challenging. But right now I'm all about Indian food. I
Oh,
love,
yum.
especially this time of year, all the
Mm,
curries and just
hmm. The
like the
comforting
like
spices
it's
and
just a mouthful
yes.
of goodness. Yeah,
Yes.
oh
I'm
yeah,
right there with you.
yeah.
I love it. All right. And then a dream vacation spot that's on your bucket list or maybe that you're currently planning to go to.
Yeah, I have two, but I would say the one that's been on my mind for a long time is Machu Picchu. I
Ooh, yeah.
Mountains are my thing, and anytime I'm at the top of the mountain, I just feel so connected to spirit and God, and I'm
Mhm.
like craving that connection. So I
Yeah,
think that's going to be on my list next year.
that'd be very powerful. Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us
Thank
today,
you so
AJ.
much, Hannah. I
Been a
loved this
beautiful conversation.
conversation, and I'm so
Yes.
grateful for the opportunity to have it with you. And
Yeah.
thanks for just being you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another amazing conversation inside the Iconic Life podcast. Remember, every choice that you make, it leaves a mark, right? So make them wisely, make them intentionally. Your most iconic life is not waiting out there in the somewhere. It's the one you choose and create right now, every day. So keep choosing with intention, keep choosing truth, keep choosing joy. And if today's conversation between AJ and I, if that stirred something inside of you, please share this episode with your friends, leave us a review. Um, we love to get feedback from you guys, and you can find us online at both of our accounts. Like AJ said, I love to connect with people, so get into my DMs. But help us spread this movement of men and women who are living, leading, and loving iconically. See you back here next time.